Hello, everyone. My name is Conrad on behalf of CameraStuff. Thank you for joining yet another episode of In the Limelight, where we scout the South African photographic industry and we find some very talented people to interview. So tonight we have a very talented maternity and newborn photographer. Her name is Robyn Prevost, and we're going to pick her brain a little bit. So if you're interested to learn a lot more about maternity, newborn photography, etc., and some really spectacular lighting as well, do stay tuned. So I think without further ado, let's bring our guest in. Hello there, Robyn. How are you doing?
Hey Conrad, how are you doing?
I'm doing spectacularly well, thank you. It's a bit chillos, but I think we'll make
Oh,
do.
sorry, I beg your pardon?
It's a bit chillos, but I think we'll make do tonight.
Oh, today's been such a we've had Cape Town weather today. We went from
Mm.
sunshine to raining to almost snowing. I think it's been a pretty cold one today for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone watching, so everybody in YouTube and Facebook and Twitch land and Twitter land, etc. Do thank you for joining. If you have any questions and comments, as always, do drop them in the comment section, and we'll see them on the right-hand side here. So if you have any comments to make, blah blah blah, any questions to ask Robyn, please do drop them, and we'll see it right in the right-hand corner right here. So I think what we can do quickly is just to show people what you are capable of. So these are some of the images that you sent us, and as said, spectacular lighting, very talented at what you do. So just a
Thank you.
wee bit of an indication. So I'm just enlarge that. There we go.
I photographed cute babies, don't I?
A lot of cute babies, yes. So I'm just figuring out the layout here. Just give me a moment. Okay, there we
No
go.
problem.
Now this one in particular is an awesome shot. So I'll definitely pick your mind as to how you created all of these shots. But I think
Awesome.
just a few questions just to get out of the way first.
Sure thing.
Let's pull that away. So, question I normally start off with. Sorry, I'm getting used to all this layout and the buttons and things. One day I'll have my own Steven Spielberg in the background that will just manage to do all of these things with me. Yeah, but for the time being, I'm kind of multitasking here. Yeah, so do forgive me if the blocks aren't also where they're supposed to be. So,
No
first
worries.
question always to start off with. So how did you get into photography? Like, what did you start off with, gear-wise, lighting-wise, and also did you have any challenges that you had to overcome initially?
So I think everybody's got a fun story of how they got into the photography business, and I think a lot of people's stories start out pretty similar. Somewhere along the
Mm-hmm.
line, someone introduced you to it, and you picked up a camera, and then the bug bit you. Um, my story isn't much different than that. I've always wanted to be a photographer. Photography is something that I've always been interested in since quite a young age, and I wanted to actually be a journalist. I wanted to do journalism photography. And so when I finally got my first camera, I started as a wedding photographer, and I think that's where a lot of people do start. We start with weddings,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got so much respect for a wedding photographer because I can never be that. I can never be the wedding photographer. I've got so much respect for them. So I've done my fair share of weddings, and
Mm-hmm.
then about 2 years later, my niece was born. And I went onto Pinterest getting ideas for a newborn shoot for her. And we done her newborn shoot, and needless to say, it was a disaster. Nothing, nothing worked out. It was, it was just terrible, and I couldn't understand why I can't do what these people on Pinterest are doing. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
what sorcery is this? How am I not getting this right?
Uh-huh.
And I think I was so intrigued by how they were achieving these pictures that, I just started researching, and it was pretty immediate that I fell in love with working with babies instead of doing
Mm-hmm.
weddings. And in that moment, I just dove into it. So I dove into the newborn baby maternity pool quite early in my
Mm.
photography career.
All right. So you said the photos didn't come out precisely what you wanted. So your first round
No.
doing baby photography. So do you want to talk us through it? Uh, like what was your first round of mistakes that you made, and how did you learn from that?
Well, the very first session that I done, I had no idea what I was doing in terms of props and what to use and what lighting to use and all of the above. I remember that I attended one of my first, at that time, it was the Photo and Film Expo that they used to have at the Dome. And I think I still bought the kit from you guys back in the day.
That's
I
memories,
bought,
yeah.
yeah, I'm
Getting
telling you,
flashbacks now.
I bought a three light, 90 by 30 centimeter or 90 by 30-inch soft boxes,
Hmm.
and I had three lights going on this baby. And I went to Macro and I bought the biggest washing laundry basket that I could find and stuffed it full of blankets. And I just popped this baby in this basket, without any clothes on. And she weed on everything because I wasn't prepared for
Same.
any of this. I just
Hmm.
couldn't understand how is this cannot be so difficult. I mean, it's just a baby. It's supposed to be
Mm.
so much easier, and it wasn't. It was never that easy. So, yeah, like I say, washing baskets that
Mm.
were 4 times the size of the baby, little dresses that were meant for kids that I put on a newborn.
Hmm.
Uh, so it was a trial and error in the
Hmm.
beginning. The moment you take that picture and you see that it doesn't look like everybody else's work, then okay, I'm probably
Yeah.
doing something wrong. Yeah, I might have to go do a little bit of homework in terms of this.
Mm. All right. So, your first round of gear versus what you have now. So, what was the camera, lighting, etc., that you started off with, and what do you currently use? And what to you has been the biggest investment out of the lot? So, that one gear that you'll take to your grave, essentially, what is that?
So, contrary to popular belief, us newborn photographers are not very big on the fanciest gear. We
Hmm.
don't necessarily go for the most expensive lights, and well, obviously, we do want the most expensive cameras. But in terms of lighting and gear and so on, we're pretty a cheap date when it comes to the gear. When I started, like I said, I bought a three light kit from you guys at Photo and Film Expo very, very long ago. So I had two lights in the front on baby, one from the back because I read about the backlighting and the whole studio set, and that's what I started off with. So I shot with a Canon 70D back in the day when I
Hmm.
started. That was my first proper DSLR. Before that, it was just whatever I could lay my hands on. There's a saying that goes, the best camera is the one that you have with you. And
Absolutely.
there's a part of that that's true. But you get eventually to a point where you realize that maybe you've got to upgrade just a little bit. So yeah, I shot
Hmm.
with a Canon
Obviously.
70D. I've always been a yeah, I've always been a Canon girl since day
Uh-huh.
one. And now, flash forward 10 years, this is my 10th year doing this. I've got a 5D Mark IV, and I must say, as
Nice.
much as what the world is pressuring me to upgrade to a mirrorless, me and my camera of my Canon 5D Mark IV are really going steady. We're like in a
Mm.
committed relationship.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I have a Pentax K1. I think it was released the same year as that 5D Mark IV. And
Uh-huh.
also, all the pressure, all the peer pressure of wanting to go into mirrorless. But no,
Yeah.
the camera is more than good enough. And I'm definitely in the
Yeah.
same boat. That's what you mentioned with the 5D. More than good enough, perhaps areas, but I'm underutilizing with the camera. For the time being, there's nothing on the other side that makes me feel like, oh, that's going to make me a better photographer. So what I have
Yeah.
at present, more than good enough.
Yeah, I think kit envy is a big thing in the photography
Mm.
industry, and especially with new photographers coming in, it's quite easy for them to get overwhelmed with all the new stuff on the market and wanting to shoot with all the big stuff that photographers that's been in the industry for so many years are using, and it's not always necessary. It's okay to
Mm.
start with what you have, and it's okay to work with what you have, and you will get your results that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to go through some comments. So
Sure.
Jay, so regular watching from Katu. Thank you for joining. Andrew Barnard from Cape Town. Thank you
Hey,
for
Andrew.
joining. So you have any people watching, friends or family?
And Andrew's a very good friend of mine. We've been friends for
Good.
many years.
Nice. So I think we have our first question from the audience, also from Jay. Always wonder how much newborn guys spend on equipment, especially in terms of the props as well, and how
Yeah.
that translates to profit. It's what I've heard from DJ Busang, who's also maternity newborn photographer as well, it's like
Yep.
that's almost where a lot of your money goes into. It's just the props and the little things that goes into the
Yeah.
constructing of a scene and whatnot. So
Yeah.
based on your images, it seems like you're also in that boat as well, wanting the big props and everything around the baby and things like that. And
Yeah.
it's always more that you need. It's always that one extra thing that you just need to buy as well. So I don't know if you have a
Yeah.
similar experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things that we always say in the newborn industry is we might photograph the smallest humans, but we definitely have the biggest storerooms. We need so many little thingies just to, bring a whole concept together and, make an image. So yeah, I've got a decent sized storeroom that I've been working on for many years, but yeah, the props can get pricey. There is a tendency that people are preferring to import props from overseas, and I can
Mm-hmm.
honestly say that we have some amazing local companies that make props, and so yeah, they might be expensive, but I think they're much more affordable when you shop local. I'm quite big
Mm-hmm.
on supporting local businesses. And the thing is, if you're going to buy a little bed for the baby to be in for your sessions, you don't have to buy the bed for every session. So, it's like a once in a blue, well, not in a blue moon, but if you've got a prop addiction like I do, it's quite often that you buy something, but you buy something and then you've got it for a long time. It's not something that, that breaks easily. So you've got it
Mm.
there. So it's a yes and no sort of an answer. Yes, you do spend a lot on props, but you don't have to buy brand new props for every single shoot
Mm.
that you do.
Now, my fiance also tried out newborn photography, and I can see it in a
Mm.
corner of the studio right there. So all pile of things just stacked there. So questions, just based on what you answered right there. So do you have any recommendations in terms of local prop businesses?
Oh, I do. Am I allowed to mention some names?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay, so there's like a handful of prop vendors that I go to very often, and I'm gonna ask in advance. I'm sorry if I don't mention your name, because there is quite a long list. But my top is the first one is Amber Rose Prop Shop.
Hmm.
They do beds, outfits, headbands, clothes, amazing clothes. Most of my Cake Smash outfits comes from them. They've quite recently added wood props to their collection as well, and it's definitely overseas quality, so I definitely recommend them. And then besides them, small little things like little headbands for babies. Ella Props is a very good prop vendor. We've got Whimsical Love Props. She's based in Potchefstroom. She's also amazing. We've got Diddly Do. We've got Backdrop Shop SA that does beautiful printed
Mm.
backdrops. I mean, there's quite a long list. So maybe I should share it with you guys and you can share it with all the viewers after. I'll go pop it in the comments after and everyone can go and see
I was about
everyone's
to
things.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
think
there's
if we
quite a
both have
long list.
time, mm,
Mm,
yeah, I
yeah,
think if we have both have time, we could just drop in the comment section the links and whatnot. Yeah, I'm all about spreading the love,
absolutely.
and now we are good friends with Backdrop Shop as well.
Awesome.
Worked with her in the past at expos and whatnot. Yeah,
Mm.
fantastic company to deal with. So let's see
Yeah,
what
she's
else we
good with
got here in
quality
terms
stuff.
of
Yeah.
absolutely. See what else we got in terms of comments. NFP Photography watching from East London. Lovely
Hello.
interview. Thank you. Also a regular, Andrew Basson saying, three light kit, always good place to start off with. Absolutely agree with that. Three light kits, you could do a lot with it. It's not necessarily that you need three lights all of the time, but it's that extra dynamic of having those
Yeah,
options when
yeah,
necessary. So sometimes you shoot with
yeah,
one light, sometimes with two, but three lights will definitely get most jobs done.
yeah.
Watching from George. Thank you for joining again, Andrew. So also, I think a follow-up from Jay's question, also talking about benches and clothing and baskets, etc., and backdrops. I think we mentioned a few places where you can
Yep,
shop.
yep.
And also Sibu Sisu watching from Pretoria. Thank you for joining. And I think some friends and family also. Just wanted to drop in
Yeah.
some comments as well. Henry Dean Tope, ons is ook hier. Thank you for joining. And
That's my
Peter.
dad.
Hello, Dad. Thank you for watching as well.
Yeah, I was making a joke earlier today, and I said at least that there'll at least be four viewers, and one will be my parents, one would be my brother, one would be my friend Henry, and the other one would probably be my husband. So
Hmm.
they are they are here.
Now, I think we have a great audience. I don't know if you can see the number in the corner there. So we have quite a few people watching. And
Awesome.
yeah, thank you for all of your comments and questions. Could you keep them coming, guys? So, question
Ask
from my
lots.
side. All right. So, in terms of safety, like what is the necessary steps? Do you have any tips and tricks that you want to share with your audiences? Yeah. So, when dealing with newborns, etc.,
Yep.
like how do you go about safety precautions on the day?
So the safety aspect with specifically newborn photography is probably one of the biggest aspects that I teach my students that come to me for photography, newborn photography classes. And it's probably one of the topics that takes the longest time to cover. So I won't take the whole hour up to cover it, but I'm going to touch on a couple of the most important ones. And as of recent, well, but even before COVID, the
Mm-hmm.
sicknesses and so on with babies have always been a thing. So ever since I started doing newborn photography, sanitizer was something that was always in my studio. So when COVID came and everybody panicked and there was no sanitizer in the world, I had like 5 bottles in the studio. I was like, don't worry, I've got sanitizer. Sanitizer I've got enough of. Everyone was selling the cheap stuff and I had the good stuff. I was stocked up.
Nice. Yeah.
So so things like cleanliness
Mm-hmm.
and germs and so on is definitely one of the big ones. But when you're coming to physically working with the babies, working with babies, they're not as fragile as what we think they are. But making sure that if you're working with props and so on, that there's no sharp edges on the props that can possibly hurt them.
Hmm.
You want to make sure that you've got your hands on the baby at all times. There's a lot of poses that you often see where babies are on swings or babies are leaning on their hands, and there's a lot of safety aspects when it comes to achieving photographs like that because they're not necessarily done the way that they look that they are done.
Mm-hmm.
Often it's composite images that are put together to create the look that's in that photo.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, working with newborns, you've got somebody's brand new prized possession in your care.
Mm.
So your attention and the baby's best interest has to be your number one priority when working with the babies. Yeah,
All right.
I've got an ABC that I always teach my students. And when you're working with
Okay.
the
Do
babies, you always
share.
got to do the ABCs. So the
Mm-hmm.
ABCs is got to make sure that the baby's airway is obstruction free. So the baby's the neck is open, there's nothing obstructing. And then the B is breathing. You got to make sure that the baby's breathing calmly. And then your C is you got to make sure that the baby's always got good circulation throughout
Mm.
your your session, especially when you do certain poses that can cut off circulation on the hands and feet. So, airways, breathing, circulation is your ABCs of newborn safety.
No, that makes sense. I always speak about when I interview people what they should put on a T-shirt in terms of merchandising, and I think that's one for you. That's the first T-shirt for you, is the ABCs of newborn
ABC,
photography. Yeah, so the ABCs up front and what they stand for at the back.
what they stand for. Sounds like a good
Yeah,
plan. We can make some money.
yeah. All right. So you mentioned students. So does that mean you like a teacher? Do you provide workshops? Do you have like a group of people that you take after? Like, how do people reach you in terms of tutoring and whatnot?
Classes. So I've been an instructor for DPC, digital photography courses now for the last couple of years. I
Hmm,
do
nice.
their newborn and maternity classes. And then besides that, I also offer one-on-one sessions for anybody who needs a little bit of extra help with their newborn cake smash maternity classes. So the thing is for me is I really enjoy sharing and teaching newborn photography, specifically newborn photography, something that's quite dear to me. Mostly for the reason that when I started, it wasn't a very sharey um, uh, community, shall I say.
Mm,
I remember when I just started after my disaster of a newborn session that I'd done, I reached out to a photographer and asked her something as simple as where did you get the props that you were using, and she refused to share with me. So it was at that point that I just decided if I'm ever in the position to share knowledge, and if I
Mhm.
know anything more than not to put a baby in a washing basket, I'll definitely share it with the world. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's definitely changed quite a lot in the last 10 years. I also
yeah,
remember the before times, yeah, very snooty, very withholding behavior and, withholding, um,
yeah,
yeah, just not sharing information out there. Things have
yeah,
changed in the meantime, yeah. So I think we have entered the era where people definitely want to get that information out there. Like it's part of
yeah,
content, and the more demand you create for something, let me say, the more ease of access and availability that you create in an industry, the more demand that you create for it. So it's a win-win situation all around.
yeah. True story.
All right. So in terms of tutoring and classes and whatnot, so I
Mhm.
did put in your details. So your Instagram and your website is in the comment section. So for
Yeah,
everybody watching, do click. And if you do want to reach out to Robyn, please do so. So information
yeah.
is provided in the comment section.
Awesome.
So what is Andrew saying here? Okay, working with babies is a type of stress that I try to avoid as much as possible. I like to keep it as safe as possible and avoid anything that could harm a subject. Yeah, so I thought about it as you were speaking, like I can barely take care of myself. Like I'm super clumsy, and to work with a baby, I think would just compound the amount of stress, and I would just drive myself insane. That's
You
a
you know
mad
the best
respect
thing
for that.
about the best thing about working with babies as opposed to brides is babies are never going to ask you to Photoshop them skinnier, ever.
Mm, true story. Yeah. Yeah, so I think the quirks are with any genre of the
Absolutely.
photography.
Absolutely.
All right. So, question I have from my side. So, how long does the typical newborn shoot normally take? So, from start to finish, question number one. And question number two is beforehand, how do you go about conceptualizing a photo shoot? So, how do you put it together? So, basically, question number one, how long does the photo shoot last normally? And question number two is, how do you go about conceptualizing a photo shoot in the first place?
Okay. So the newborn shoot it can take anything up to about 4 hours. So I will usually schedule a session with my clients for 4 hours. And in best case scenario, we're done in about two. We'll be done in 2 hours, but we always schedule 4 hours just in case. Some babies need to feed a little bit more. Some babies are a little bit more alert and awake, and you've got to, try and soothe them down. But 4 hours is definitely what we schedule, but we hope to always be done in about two. And then part two of your question was conceptualizing the session.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I will set up my sessions about an hour before it's due to start.
Mm-hmm.
And before I even do the shoots, I will liaise with the clients and sort of get some ideas from them in terms of their homes and their color schemes in their homes. Some clients will, for example, say they've got lots of beiges and browns in their homes, then I will use that to sort of create something that they can ultimately hang up in their house. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
shoot on orange and orange doesn't match anything in their homes because the
Mm.
idea is for them to use it as a piece of art that they can hang up. So that's where it would start, is I would liaise with the clients in terms of color schemes and so on. And then ideas for setups, I think it sort of just comes to me. I don't know if that sounds a little bit vague.
Mm-hmm.
I can walk around in a arts and crafts store and I can just see something and it just sort of
Mm.
sparks an idea. Sometimes the ideas seem a little bit crazy, but the moment that I get it in there, like one day I was outside in my garden and we've got this banana, I don't know if you call it banana tree with these big leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw this massive leaf and I thought, oh, it would look so cute if a baby were to lie on one of these leaves. So the next newborn session that I done, I just chopped off a leaf and I
Mm-hmm.
took a picture of the baby inside a banana leaf, and it came out so pretty. So, I mean, there's inspiration everywhere. And just to touch
True.
back on the props again, sometimes you don't always have to get the most expensive props. You can sort of get a little bit creative and make your own and come up with some new things and, find inspiration everywhere. There's inspiration all around us. We've just got to look for it. We've just got to open our eyes to
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% agree with that. Speaking of which, I think it is time to get into your images.
it.
So what we do here is we just go through a few of your images and we basically give the mic to you. So you can
Okay.
describe everything that went into this photo shoot, like if you had any particular challenges with one of them. No, just basically everything that went into the photo shoot, like if there's a story to share, etc., etc. So anything that you want to put on the table here, by all means, the mic is yours.
Awesome. Okay, so this is the typical cake smash session. For anybody who doesn't know what a cake smash session is, it's a session where we celebrate the baby's first birthday by giving them a cake, putting them in a cute outfit, and just letting them have fun. And I think the look on this baby's face sort of just gives an idea of how much fun he was actually having.
Mm.
He's a super cute baby. I've been seeing his family for quite some time already, so they were quite regular clients already. Um, yeah, he's a super cute baby. So with something like this, the mom sort of gave me free rein in terms of decor for the session, which is usually the fun ones for me. That's when
Mm-hmm.
I can get a little bit creative and just make some stuff up. And specifically in this setup, you see there's little pumpkins at the back. We done a pumpkin patch theme, and I got those pumpkins over Halloween a couple of years ago at a store in Boxburg somewhere. And they were just here in the cupboard waiting for the perfect shoot. And then with this one, with the pumpkin patch, we went with oranges and beiges and blues. And yeah, I think it came together quite cute. Just to touch also a little bit back on the gear that we were talking about earlier, where I used to shoot with the three lights. I think you can see on this image, well, I don't know if you can see, but I only use one light now. I'm a
Mm.
one light kind of a girl. I use a one light with a massive 83 centimeter, 183 centimeter parabolic umbrella that I've got a diffuser on. So the
Mm-hmm.
light shoots to the umbrella and then reflects back to the subject, which gives us some nice soft shadows.
Mm.
And that is my go-to light. I use it for all of my newborn and cake smash sessions.
That's a very
Yeah, so
popular
this is
choice
one of the fun
among
ones.
That's a very
Yeah,
popular choice among newborn photographers. Is that big
yeah,
umbrella with a diffuser up front.
yeah,
Reason being, the bigger the light source, the softer the light, and also you can change the
absolutely.
effective size of the light using a bigger light modifier. And I think
Yeah,
in terms of size, that's a great option because it is an umbrella, so it's easy to fold up, fold open, etc. For
pack away.
storage, to pack away, to travel with. Yeah,
Hmm.
so I think in terms of what is the biggest light modifier out there that's also practical to use, definitely that big parabolic umbrella.
Yeah, and you guys
Just want
stock
to,
them.
yes, absolutely, yeah. Just want to make
I
a
send
reference
everyone
to,
to you.
well, thank you
Sorry.
so much. Thank you. No worries. I just want to make reference to the colors. You made mention of it, the
Mhm.
oranges and blues, very complimentary. I do love it. So I
Thank
think a
you.
question that some people may want to ask is, when working in a studio, the floor. So
Yep.
if you're doing a smash the cake, do you
Hmm.
use like a printed PVC or what other options do you have that you can
Yeah.
recommend when using like messy photography essentially?
Yep. Yeah, so the PVC backdrops are definitely a number one option for cake smash sessions because one, they easily clean up. So after a cake smash session, you can easily sweep it off and wipe it down, and then it's clean again. And also, it can be easily sanitized because
Mm,
it's a plastic surface. You can spray it full of
mm,
sanitizer, and since the baby's eating off of it, you definitely want your floor to be clean. So
that makes
yeah,
sense.
PVC is definitely a go-to for me. Another option is definitely paper backdrops as well, but I will very seldomly use paper on the floor because obviously the
Mm,
moment that cake touches the paper, you're going to have to tear it off, so it's going to
yeah.
be destroyed that section. So I will rather in a case, let's say for example, the blue at the back was paper, I would still use a PVC on the floor and then just roll the
Hmm.
paper down until the PVC reaches at the bottom on the floor. So yeah, PVC on the floor is definitely a number one option for cake smash sessions, absolutely. And they're quite versatile because you can get them in any shape and size, in any print.
Mm,
And then I also use the same PVC backdrops for my newborn sessions as well, so they can swing
mm.
all ways.
Perfect. Yeah, it makes complete sense. So we make reference to the backdrop, the light modifier. What type of light do you use? What's the light source?
So remember when I told you that newborn photographers aren't the biggest uh, uh, gear geeks, shall I say?
Mm-hmm.
So the light that I use is actually a very old, very cheap light. It's a light that I've been using for 7 years. It's an Elinchrom D Light 2. So it's
Oh,
like
those are
really,
tanks. So, no.
it's like it's a
Mm,
baby light, but it
mm,
gives me I love the results that it gives me.
mm,
And the fact that it can go down so low, because we like using quite a wide aperture. Well, I like using quite a wide aperture
mm.
when I'm shooting both newborns and cake smashes. For the fact of the matter is that I want the baby to be in focus, and I just want everything else to just sort of
Yeah.
be in the background, give color and give some look and feel, but I want the focus to always be on baby. So that light of mine can go down quite low. I use it on its lowest power, and then when I shoot, I can go down to f2.8 easily, and then get
Mm.
a well lit image. Yeah.
I think a lot of people out there are under the impression that the more expensive the light, the more quote unquote professional the image is going to be like. But a light source
Not at
is
all.
exactly that. It's just a light
Yep.
source. So in terms of the
Yep.
quality and the shaping of the light, that comes from the light shaper, obviously. So
Yep.
the using of a softbox, an umbrella, a beauty dish, bond or snoot, how you choose to shape and craft your light, that's where the magic comes from. Yeah, so you don't typically need a super duper expensive light. Those are quite
Not at
useful
all.
if you need to
Mm,
work outdoors in a high speed sink. You need a 600 watts to work with, but for most conditions and circumstances, yeah, the light is just a light source. The magic
mm.
comes from the shaping and the crafting of the light.
Absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
so let's see what's next. I was going to fix my layout here. There we go. All right, just a fascinating picture here. The props. Do you go
Yeah,
into the props here? Because this looks like something
sure.
from Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings. So I think a lot of people will be interested in how you got a collection of these.
Okay, so what we've got here is the brown floor is a PVC backdrop. It's a
Hmm.
PVC floor that I've got underneath. On top of that, we've got some jute layers that are stacked on the floor just to give that grungy texture. It's kind of like a juxtaposition where you've got this grunginess going on, and then you've got the super soft, gentle baby going on. So it's like a complete opposite to get that look. And then the baby's laying on a little bed that's specifically made for newborn photography. And then we've got him on some felted layers, some softness and some fluffiness because we don't want the baby's skin to touch on any of the hardwood props. And yeah, some greenery and some wraps. Yeah, we so I usually wrap the baby in about 2 to 3 layers, and that's what really settles them. Most babies really love well, all babies really
Hmm.
love being wrapped. They've been in mom's belly for 9 months and they didn't have any space, so they've been super tight and super warm for 9 months. So when they come into studio and we wrap them up nice and warm, nice and tight, they immediately just go down to sleep and they are
Mm.
super content
So
when they are wrapped up. Yeah. So wraps, layers, greenery, bed. This is one of my favorite pictures at the moment.
I think the juxtaposing of the harsher textures of the leaves and the roping and the wood,
Mm,
as you mentioned yourself, that contrasting against the softness of the baby, it's a very, very underestimated,
mm.
what's the word I'm looking for? Way of just going about structuring your image itself. So just looking out for opposites. So opposites not only in terms of colors, but in textures as well. Just helps to make the subject stand out just a little bit more in image as well. So I think you wit
Absolutely, yeah.
about that perfectly here.
Yeah,
So just a,
it's quite important for me to always make sure that the baby's the main focus in any of
mm,
my pictures. Instead of going for big, elaborate, super bright colors, I usually tend to go for more earthy, more muted colors. That's a little bit more my style.
all right. So a couple of things I just want to quickly address. Number one, this comment. So, hi guys, just getting in now. Hope I'm not too late. I think we are about 35 minutes in, but if you want to watch from the beginning, this video is going to be on YouTube afterwards. So you can rewind to the beginning or just wait until this is finished and you can watch from the beginning. So everything will be available on YouTube. Second thing, I think I've lost my green light at the back. I want to fix that. So I think while I fix that, maybe
Sure.
go on to the next image. So maybe
Oh,
if you
so
want
this
to
fun
explain
one.
a couple of things here, let me just quickly do
Sure.
some remedy work here behind me.
Okay, while you're busy, I'll jump into this picture. So this was another smash. Instead of smashing cake with this one, we went with a chef theme where we were smashing some spaghetti. Some moms prefer to not introduce their babies to sugar when they're only 1 year old, and then we will rather go with something like a pasta or anything, or bread or dough or something like that. This specific one is quite a popular request for me at the moment, the chef theme. We've got we literally go and buy groceries from Pick and Pay, breads, pastas, anything with an Italian feel, tomatoes, greenery, spinach. There's a whole bunch of groceries going on in this image. Also, we've got a super cute chef outfit. Colors are all leaning towards Italian themed colors because it's a pasta shoot. We've got a baby inside a pot. He's a little chef, so she's sitting inside a pot because she's a little chef. She can do whatever she wants. It's her restaurant and it's her
Shame, yeah.
birthday and it's her party, and she can be in a pot if she wants to.
I think that's idea for t-shirt number 2, eh? So baby in the pot, and I can be the chef if I want to. So question I have, so working
Yeah.
at people's houses versus your own studio, like what's the split like? How often do you need to go on vacation? And like if there is a preference, would you ask people to come to the studio instead?
Yes, absolutely. So if I do, for example, a newborn shoot in somebody's house, it's going to be more of a lifestyle sort of a shoot. You know, baby laying
Mm,
on mom's bed and the dogs coming in to see the baby and sniff on their heads, and everybody sort of just living their day to day. We do a lifestyle sort of a newborn shoot, kind of like a
mm,
journalistic sort of a shoot, whereby if they want the posed fine art sort of sessions, it's definitely done in my studio. And the biggest reason for that is, as I've mentioned earlier, we've got the smallest models, but we use the biggest amount of stuff. So I
mm,
don't have a minivan big enough to fit all of the stuff that I will need to achieve those sort of images. On a regular newborn shoot, we go for about 5 or 6 different sets.
mm,
So to pickle all of that stuff to my clients' homes is definitely not ideal. And in terms of cake smashes, also, one of the biggest reasons why I prefer to shoot in my studio is because I'm comfortable with the amount of space that I have.
mm.
I'm comfortable with my lighting situation. I can temperature control my studio so that the babies don't get cold. And going into parents' homes sometimes, you can ask them, do you have a room that is at least, say, 4 by 4 meters big? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, sure. And then when you get there, you're in a 2.5 by 2.5 room, and then your backdrop barely fits
Mm.
in the
Or it's
room.
full of furniture and stuff.
Exactly. Or you ask them, what's the lighting situation like? They'll be like, oh no, it's super bright. But super bright to a photographer and super
Mm.
bright to a mommy is not necessarily the same sort of super bright that we need.
Yes.
So I definitely don't do any of my, well, not any, I'll do the lifestyle sessions in parents' homes, but my cake smashes and my post newborn sessions are all done in my
Mm.
studio. And then the third leg of newborn photography is the fresh 48 sessions. That's or some call it a freshly squeezed session. That's when the baby's just been born, still in hospital. Within the first 48 hours of the baby being born, we go to the hospital room, photograph the baby in the little bassinet next to mom, and the whole hospital sort of setting, black and white
Mm.
images, also journalistic sort of a shoot. So that's a third leg of newborn photography. So you've got your lifestyle, your fresh 48, and then you've got the posed sessions. So those two, hospital and
Mm.
home, we'll do those there, and then the posed ones definitely always in studio.
Very interesting that you mentioned that you started off wanting to be a journalist, and literally everyone I've had a conversation with, in terms of photography, it's like nothing is a dead end. Everything's a stepping stone. So
Yeah,
aspiring journalist, like that now translates nicely into like newborn photography as well as what you mentioned, the
yeah.
freshly squeezed sessions as well. I think that just perfectly plays into that as well. Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
something to learn for everybody struggling out there, in terms of inspiration, not knowing which direction to take. Like everything is a stepping stone. As I said, like literally every
yeah,
photographer that I've spoken to here, they started off as something, now being a photographer, but that first thing is a huge contribution to what we're doing now. So don't fret. There's
absolutely.
always something to learn from what you did in the past and how to carry that forward. That's always the case.
Yeah, and in the same sort of aspect, in different sort of jobs, photography becomes like a side hustle for a lot of people in the beginning.
Mm,
It starts as a hobby, and a lot of times you will be able to take whatever you professionally do and sort of incorporate it into the kind of photography that you do as well. So for myself,
mm,
for example, I'm a graphic designer as well, so I can sometimes bring in my graphic design eye and sort of design backdrops and design sort of images and things that I can add to my sessions. So even if you're doing a specific job and you really want to be a photographer, whatever you're doing can somehow lean into your photography
mm,
also.
absolutely. I think you're graphic designer number 5 now. So I've done a few of these, and it seems like a natural segue from going from graphic
Yeah,
design into photography and kind of back again as well. Like it's almost the
yeah,
same. It's two peas in the same pod essentially. So
absolutely. Yeah,
two
they
different
definitely
industries
go.
that help one another.
Yeah, definitely go hand in hand, the two of them.
All right. So let's see what's next.
Yeah.
So a little bit more here. I think my fiance will love the decor. Like this is pretty much what our living room looks like.
Boho.
Yes, yeah, that's the term I'm looking for. Yeah, it just went out of mind, but yeah, thanks for pushing it back in.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most requested themes at the moment
Mm,
is boho. Um,
mm.
yeah, in especially with cake smashes, it's like an ebb and flow of trends that are going around. And I think boho is still going to be around for quite a while. The 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 simplicity of the colors is something that I think will be timeless for quite some time, whereby something like Paw Patrol or Cocomelon might get quite
Mm,
um, dated quickly. I think something
yes.
like boho will still be around for quite some time. So yes, the boho thing is very requested at the moment.
Now it makes sense. Yeah, choosing a theme that is timeless as opposed to something that may be
Absolutely, yeah.
popular today, but in a couple of years' time, not so much.
Not so much, yeah.
Um, do you have any examples of that? Like you say, you started 10 years ago. Like any outdated stuff from back in the day that are slightly frowned upon today?
Oh wow, I've got lots.
Okay.
If if
Well,
if if I look at specifically my cake smash sessions from back in the day, proportions and sizes of things I really went overboard with sometimes. I remember the first few cake smashes that I'd done, the cake that was in front of the baby was almost as big as the baby. There
mm.
was more cake than baby. And things like tissue paper pom-poms, that was also so big once upon a time. Yeah, I used that a lot. And ruffle rompers, I think that was one of the popular things also a
Hmm.
couple of years ago for the little girls was the ruffle rompers. Every single cake smash was a different colored ruffle romper. And I had every single color of the rainbow at one stage. So that was also some of the popular things that specifically in cake smashes were very trendy a couple of years ago. And now I don't think you'll find it anywhere anymore.
No, but it's part of the history. It's part of what makes you you now. So it's kind of like a rite of passage. And I can look back at my
Yep.
past work as well. A lot of cringe. I can remember one of my first weddings I've done. Took more photos of the best man as opposed to the groom himself. It's a slaps on the wrist, but just guides you through life. So it's can't
Absolutely.
always lament these things. So it's torturous once you think back, but at the same time, these are things worth celebrating as well. Kind of makes you you.
Exactly. Of course, of course.
All right. So in terms of lighting and light modifiers and gear and etc., like what I've gathered already is like simplicity, and the simplicity here works. So
Mm,
any time that you would use something different, like what would require something different from you? So not the
mm.
anachron, not the big umbrella, like any scenario you can think of where something definitely else would be required.
For newborn sessions specifically.
Yeah,
Uh,
and no, like anything else beyond that as well.
yeah, so with most of my newborn sessions, I literally have a trolley that always goes with me from setup to setup. So there's a couple of things in my trolley that I definitely need for every newborn session. Same with the cake smash sessions also. There's a couple of things that we always definitely require that I think people that don't necessarily work with babies don't really need. Um,
Hmm.
Simple things like hand sanitizer that we've already mentioned before, and white noise machines, and posing pillows, and little headbands, and
Mm.
little teddy bears that the babies can hold. So there's a bunch of small little things that's not necessarily gear, but it's definitely a couple of
Mm.
staples that you need to be able to achieve the session success, the photos successfully. Uh, yeah, with a cake smash, obviously you need a cake. They definitely need a cake to smash. Um, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yep, so perfectly. I think what I've heard so far from many uh, newborn photographers, it would be worthwhile to invest in a Fenton trailer as well to carry all of these things from
Yeah,
one location to the next. Or the mini band, as
for
you
sure.
mentioned, one something with a big boot so you can just chuck everything in. Yeah, so it
Yeah,
goes way beyond just lighting. It's like all these little extra tidbits that we need just to complete everything. Like
yeah,
photography is like a multivariate discipline. It's like many things that you have to spin your head around.
yeah. Yeah, when you're working specifically with the cake smashers, apart from the obvious with the setups and things, when it comes to specifically the cake, there's things that you've got to also keep in mind in terms of baby allergies. You don't want to
Mm.
feed them something that's going to make them sick. So that's a bunch of safety precautions around a cake smash session as well. Yeah, and making sure that there's not things like toothpicks and dowel sticks in the cakes that can hurt the babies.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's a couple of safety
Mm.
features with a cake smash as well. I mean, some babies go face first into those cakes, so you've got to make sure that the cake is definitely baby friendly and doesn't have things that the baby can choke on. There's a few tips and tricks definitely also that needs to be mentioned with cake smash photography also.
It sounds worthwhile to have a health and safety officer on location just to double check all of these things. But I think that's
Something like
well
that.
one of your jobs as well, eh?
That's why I'm here. Ask me. I'm an open book.
All right. So this one I think is my favorite one. So how did you go about making the scene?
I feel like if I'm going to answer your question, it's going to be like a dampen for you. So this picture is something that we call a composite. It's a digital
Mm-hmm.
background that we use whereby the whole setup was pre-photographed at a different time.
Mm-hmm.
And when the baby was in studio, we just posed the baby in like a beanbag, and then the magic happens in Photoshop afterwards, where we edit the baby into the scenario. So I know it looks like the baby was really there, but the baby was never really there.
Well, it means that you did a good job if I was easily fooled like that. But beyond that, it's like nothing wrong with that. To composite images together and whatnot. Like, yeah, it's part of what makes it photography nowadays. It's a digital aspect
Yeah.
of it. Yeah, so big open territory to do different things. Definitely composites are one of them. Yeah, so just fantastic all around how everything turned out.
I think that the magic about a digital background is specifically for new photographers or photographers that are just getting into the industry is you don't
Mm.
necessarily have to go out and buy all of these props. I mean, you can use digital backgrounds and make it look as though the baby was in this specific scenario. And if you can just add a couple of minutes extra to your Photoshop magic, you can make it look real. You can make it look as though the baby was really there.
Yeah, one day very soon it's a thing already. Won't even take minutes.
AI.
It's just
Mm-hmm.
AI, yeah. So you can just mask
Yeah.
it, generative AI, click what you want. I don't know if you have an opinion on that. Is it something spooky to you, or is it just something that's going to be part of the landscape in the future?
I don't think that AI should be something that we're afraid of. I think it should be something that we welcome.
Mm.
I heard somebody on the radio, one of the radio presenters, speak about AI a couple of days ago, and he was saying that his son is a graphic designer, and his son said to him, "Dad, I'm really worried about my job because of AI. I'm worried that
Hmm.
AI is going to replace me." And his dad answered him and said, AI can never replace you because the client will never be able to tell AI exactly what they want. That's where the
Hmm.
designer comes in, is you've got to tell the client what they want. And the same thing with AI is you've got to be, or the same thing when it comes to the with AI in photography, you've got to be so specific with what you are
Yeah,
telling AI to do. I mean, if you're going to tell AI, for example, let's take this picture, and we tell AI, edit baby into a tree. I mean, it might not look as pretty. It might have
no,
baby hanging on a branch.
yes. Yeah, I saw a TikTok where a person was using generative AI. They masked a woman's bun, a hair bun, and they said the prompt was fix the bun. And they replaced the bun with a hamburger. So
Oh,
just a
wow.
big hamburger on the head. So yeah, AI definitely
Yeah.
requires a lot of context, and I think that could be T-shirt number 3. What you mentioned about AI needs direct communication, and
Choose
yeah,
your
so I
words
think that could be
carefully.
absolutely, yeah. I think that's a good T-shirt number 3 idea for your merchandising. But
Yeah.
yeah, from my point of view, it's half spooky, half exciting. It's
Mm.
definitely going to change the landscape. Just we just need to adapt. So things are going to be different.
Yep.
It's not going to be this hostile takeover like a Godzilla eating all of the
Mm.
creative people out there. It's going to be
Mhm.
quite different. So it's going to be a new tool. Some adaptation is going to be required. Despite how fast AI is progressing, I think it's called Moore's law in terms of computing. Like it just increases and progresses exponentially. But something that puts my mind at ease is that how humans adapt to it. That will
Yep.
happen organically and naturally. So things will
Absolutely.
slow down to a good pace, and it won't be like this, as I said, hostile takeover that people imagine.
I think with anything technology, every time something new came up in all of the years before you and I even existed, I mean, people
Hmm.
got scared when whatever sort of technology came out. When computers came out, they thought that people would never have jobs again because computers came out. I read an article that they said when Excel, Microsoft Excel came out, accountants and
Hmm.
bookkeepers were worried for their jobs, but until today, accountants and bookkeepers use Excel to make their jobs easier. So the
Hmm.
same with AI. I think we should just embrace it and not be scared of
Yeah.
it. Let it benefit your business rather than kill your business.
Absolutely. It's something else I saw on TikTok. AI is not going to take your job. Somebody making use of AI may potentially disrupt your job. So
Yep,
it's just about adaptation and how we go about welcoming AI in the near future, which I think is going to be a big topic. It is a lot to unpackage, but I think
yep.
because I have small amount of battery left. So I think I have like 10 minutes. So I just want to quickly finish our last round of questions. But if you
Sure.
are still watching out there in YouTube and Facebook land, if you have some questions to ask as well, do drop that in the comments. So I have a question. How do you handle the stress and anxiety before a photo shoot?
Hmm. Uh, I think the biggest thing is success loves preparation.
Hmm.
So by preparing for your session beforehand definitely helps a lot. Sort of going into your session with a full-on plan of what you're going to do. Obviously, babies are not predictable at all. So rather going in with a plan and being open to changing your plan if needed than just walking into a session without a plan at all. That definitely
Mm.
helps a lot with stress and anxiety before sessions. Stress and anxiety will always be there because you're working with parents, sometimes new parents. So the stress and anxiety will always be there. But I mean, it's something important that, especially if you're a new photographer in the newborn industries, you've got to remember that your clients have booked you for a reason. They booked you
Mm.
for the work that you provide before they even met you as a person. So we've got to always remember that we shouldn't necessarily be so hard on ourselves and be so stressed
Mm.
out about what people are gonna, how they're gonna perceive the shoot, because they've already decided that they are happy with the results that they can
Mm.
get before they even walk through the door.
I think that is t-shirt number 4. They've booked you for a reason. I like that.
And success loves preparation.
I got a 3-piece as well. Okay, t-shirt number 5 then. All right. So, what advice would you give aspiring photographers out there? So, not only in terms of newborns, maternities, and whatnot, just any person wanting to go into the field or industry of photography.
I'll have to say, don't stop improving your knowledge. Don't stop
Mm.
researching. Don't stop looking for inspiration. And just like a footnote on the inspiration, that doesn't necessarily mean copying other people's work. It means looking at people's work and feeling inspired by what they've done and taking that
Mm.
inspiration and creating something yourself. So never stop being inspired and never stop researching. Read a lot, look at a lot of people's work, look at different art pieces, look at different people's shoots and lighting techniques, and just keep on self-improving. And before you know it, you're going to be booked full.
Mm. That's a slippery slope. Stagnating just a little bit. Now, that's one step away from complacency, and complacency is one step away from laziness, and laziness is going to just disrupt everything. Now, so it's a slippery slope, as I said. It's never stop learning, always be proactive, always do research on certain topics, always collect data from everything that you do. So write down
Yeah,
what you're doing, what you're enjoying, what you're not enjoying, and kind of just keep track of everything. Once you
absolutely.
start feeling that things are getting a little bit easier, I think that's an alarm bell. That's when you should
Absolutely.
pay attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
My green light went off again, but I think I'll just leave it be.
Your green light's not doing it for you tonight.
Mm-mm. No, it's the plug here that is damaged. So,
Oh,
well, it is what it is. So, I think that brings us to the end of our interview. It was a
oh,
fantastic one, very informative. I've learned a lot, and I'm certain everybody watching, we've had a massive crowd in tonight. Also learned quite a
perfect.
lot. So, I don't know if everybody watching, if you have any last remaining questions, this is going to be your last 5 minutes. In the meantime, I don't know if you have any shout outs. So anybody that you want to thank, anyone in particular that you just want to mention that helped you out in your photographic career?
I've got quite a long list of people that have helped me through the last 10 years, people that were prepared to share, but I can't name specific too many names because there's definitely going to be people that'll be upset and say, but you
Mm-hmm.
didn't mention my name. So I think for safety, I should definitely just say everybody who inspired me through the years and supported me and um, provided me with whatever, you definitely know who you are, and thank you for that. And yeah, my family definitely, they've always been very supportive through my whole career. You always have a lot of naysayers when you begin, and I think I'm
Mm-hmm.
very fortunate to have a family that has backed me 100% since day one. So that's definitely something that I can definitely shout from the rooftops and thank my family.
It was a very pleasant chat again. Thank you so much. I've learned a lot, and I think everybody watching also learned a lot. So we wish you good luck forward with your career. I'm hoping
Thank
to
you.
see more awesome images. To everybody watching, if you want to keep in touch with Robyn, I've just dropped the website. Let me drop the Instagram as well. So if you want
Thanks
to
for
follow
that.
Robyn, ask her some questions and whatnot, please do that. Follow the links in the comment section. And yeah, let's spread the love. Let's grow the photographic industry in South
Thank you.
Africa. And yeah, let's keep it moving forward. So again,
Absolutely.
massive thank you from my side. So I think that's going to be it. That's going to be a goodbye from me. Just hope you have a pleasant night further. Not only to
And
you,
you
but
too.
everybody watching as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. I mean, you guys have got an awesome platform going on here, and I love the fact that you are promoting sharing and promoting teaching. It's really awesome. It's definitely something that I can back.
Thank you so much. We're trying. It's baby steps, but we're getting to where we want to be. Yeah. So small beginnings, but we have big plans in the future. So, yeah, so
I'm excited to
keep a
see.
lookout on CameraStuff's platforms and whatnot. Yeah, things are growing much up. It's definitely something that we're keen on doing, just to see how we can help out in terms of growing the industry in South Africa.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Keep doing what you're doing. You guys are doing amazing.
Thank you so much. Okay, that's going to be it from our side. So that's me, Conrad, on behalf of CameraStuff. Thank you for Robyn for joining. Until next time, cheerios and good.